everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to be ranking the 46 books I've read this year. We're going to be ranking them from worst to best. Now let me just preface this by saying I'm not ranking these by worst to best in terms of like best writing, best plot, whatever it is. It's more just like my least favorites to my favorites this year, so just personal preference. And I also want to say that I really like thoroughly enjoyed the majority of the books I've read so far this year. So even if the book is ranked quite low, like let's say at number 35, it doesn't actually mean I didn't like it. It just means that I read more that I liked. Does that make sense? I've got them written all down here from number 1 to 46. Number 1 is going to be my favorite, and then 46 is like my least favorite. So we'll start with my least favorite and sort of work our way up. I went online and I just searched for like a ranking system, and I put all 46 books into this sort of system. And how it kind of works is it'll pit like two of the options up against each other, and it does that over and over and over and over again until it creates you a ranking, and it lets you know which books you prefer from your favorite to your least favorite. Because I did this yesterday, this is all how I feel about these books from yesterday, if that makes sense. So maybe earlier on in the year some of these books could have ranked higher, but these are just my thoughts on them as of yesterday. So anyways, without further ado, let's get into this. So starting at number 46, which was my least favorite of the year, I think my first three that I'm gonna list off here are all D and Fs, which is why I put them at the bottom. Number 46 is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I DNF'd this book 160 pages in. I didn't really like the writing, I didn't like the characters, and it just felt very surface level and kind of shallow to me. I know a lot of people love this book, but it's just not my cup of tea. I'm not going to talk about the synopsis of each book, by the way, so there will be little to no explanation of the synopsis. I'm just going to let you know my least favorites to my favorites, and yeah. And then number 45, we have Things I Wanted to Say But Never Did by Monica Murphy. This was actually like, it was okay. I DNF'd it about halfway through just because this book does not need to be 650 pages. It is a bit of a darker romance. It's a bully romance, and there were just some parts in this book that I was like, you know, I don't condone this. So yeah, it's fine. It was okay. Coming in at number 44. Now this might shock and surprise a lot of people, and this is the one that I might get a lot of backlash for. I have to speak my truth. Number 44 is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I really did not like a lot of things about this book. I didn't like the inner monologue of the main girl. Kind of like Fourth Wing for me. The inner monologue for the girl in Fourth Wing really irritated me. Same kind of thing happened here, and I found the plot kind of predictable, and I'm sorry, I did not like it. To be honest, I think the main reason I was so let down by this book is just because I had very high expectations for it, and that's because people were comparing it to like ACOTAR and saying it's just as good. And yeah, I went into this book with very high hopes, and it kind of let me down, so not my favorite. And then number 43, I did read this on my Kindle. Number 43 is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I think I gave this a 2.5, and I really enjoyed the first like 80 to 90% of it, but I hated the plot twist. I really hated it. It's really brought the rating of the book down for me. So that is number 43. Number 42 is The Book Club Hotel by Sarah Morgan. It was a cute book. It was fine. I did enjoy it. I got it from the library, so I don't have a physical copy. It was good. It was fine. I've just read better. That's really the only reason I put it down low. Number 41 is My Dark Romeo by Parker S. Huntington and LJ Shin. Now, I just want to say I actually read this book in like a few days. I did kind of devour it, and I don't hate this book. I actually enjoyed it. It had some parts that I was like, and then I had some parts that I actually really enjoyed, and I did kind of like laugh a lot during this book. I found the main character kind of funny. It was a pretty enjoyable book. So again, I know that it's ranked low. It's just more like I've read books that I've enjoyed so much more than this book, but I don't think this book is bad. It was pretty fun. It's definitely a very good book if you are in a book slump, because it's very fast paced, it's humorous, it's just, I liked it. Also, I love the book cover. This is definitely more on the spicy side, so if you are young, don't read this. I mean, I can't really control you, but just don't read it. Okay, coming in at number 40, this is also going to surprise people. I feel like this video is going to get me some serious hate because I feel like I'm bashing a lot of people's favorites books, but again, I'm so sorry. I just have to speak my truth, like I said. Coming in at number 40 is Beach Read by Emily Henry. I just don't think I like Emily Henry's writing, and I think that's just a me thing. I know that it's like very comforting to a lot of people, and people find her writing, I don't know, very mesmerizing. They love her characters. I just don't think it's for me. I'm just over halfway through reading Happy Place by Emily Henry, and I'm getting the same feelings that I got reading this. Maybe I like it a little bit more than this one, but it's just, I just don't think her writing is for me. So yeah, that's why it's number 40. Number 39 is Addicted to You by, I think it's Becca, and I read it on my Kindle. Who wrote it? It's two people that wrote it. I'll just put it up here so you know which one I'm talking about. This is the first book in the Addicted Calloway Sisters series. People have said to me that the series gets better as you go on, so I may continue it. I think it's on Kindle Unlimited. I might continue it, we don't know, but yeah, it was fine. Like it was an okay book. I didn't mind it. Coming in at number 38 is Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. I also read this on, no, I didn't read it on my Kindle. I got it from the library. How do I even explain this book? It was a total sort of like acid trip, fever dream kind of book. I did enjoy the reading experience to some degree, more so just because it gave me such a visceral reaction of like disgust, and I do think any book that can kind of cause such an intense reaction is pretty good in my opinion. Kind of, I don't know, I'm not too sure how to feel about that just yet. But yeah, it was good. It was just not my sort of book, but I do think it was a good book. Coming in at number 37 is The Selection by Kiara Cass. It was fun. It was a good YA dystopian, nothing super special, nothing that wowed me, just a good book. And coming in at number 36 is The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Maharin. Now, I read this before reading the Serpent, what's that series called? I think it's called the Serpent and Dove series. I'll put it up somewhere on the screen. And I didn't realize that this is sort of like a spin-off book or spin-off series from that series. So I did kind of go into this a little bit confused, and I think that it would have hit a lot harder had I read that series, but I didn't. I still really enjoyed this. It was a good sort of enemies to lovers fantasy romance. I do just wish I had a bit more insight into this. But yeah, definitely very good, and I do recommend, especially if you've read that series, you'll probably really love this, so pick it up. Coming in at number 35 is Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This is my first and only Ali Hazelwood book that I've read, and I really enjoyed it. It was a very cute sort of YA romance. It was a good time. Like, I haven't thought about these characters since I read the book. So while I was reading it, I really enjoyed it. It was sweet, it was cute, but I never really thought of it again, if you know what I mean. But yeah, definitely good, and I definitely recommend. And then number 34 is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is the second book in the Letters of Enchantment, or is it Enchanted Letters? What the hell is it called? I don't know. I did enjoy it. It was a good book, but because I loved Divine Rivals so much, this was kind of a letdown, and it didn't give me what I wanted off the back of Divine Rivals. So yeah, it was good, but I just wanted it to be better. Okay, and then number 33 is The Wicked King by Holly Black. This is the second book in the Folk of the Air series, which follows the Cruel Prince, and this was probably my least favorite one in the series. I think just because it got too political for me. I liked the characters, I did enjoy the plot and the politics, but it was just too heavy on the political intrigue, and it wasn't really what I was wanting. But yeah, it was good. Number 32 is His and Hers by Alice Feeney. This is a psychological thriller. This was a very good thriller. Definitely surprised me, and I definitely didn't see any of it coming, so I highly recommend. Number 31 is Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This is the second book in the Shepherd King duology. The first book is One Dark Window. I definitely really enjoyed this. It was good. I liked it, but I think I just didn't get what I wanted after the first one. I did, but it was just kind of like, I don't know. I liked it. It was good, but just not as good as the first one, in my opinion. I know a lot of people prefer this one over the first one, but I think I like the first one more. And then number 30 is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I really like this book. It was just very fun to read. I had a really good time reading this. It's my first ever book by this author, and he is one of the most famous authors of all time. And also Hobbiton was filmed in New Zealand. I'm from New Zealand, so I actually visited the Hobbiton movie set after reading this, and I think it made it even more special for me. So yeah, I really love this book. It's just a good high stakes sort of fantasy. It's also like a cozy fantasy. Like, it is high stakes, but at the same time it's such a cozy book. If it's winter for you, wherever you are, this is a very cozy sort of winter book, and yeah, I really liked it. Okay, number 29 is A Man Called Ove by Frederick. I think it says Backman, but I think it's Bachman. Is that how you meant to say it? Really enjoyed this book. It really tugged on my heartstrings, made me think, it made me laugh, it made me cry. It was just a very good book. Definitely a little bit slow at times, which is probably why I didn't rank it even higher. But yeah, definitely recommend. Where am I? Okay, number 28 is Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This is the second book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. Really enjoyed this one. Very fast paced, good time. It's probably my least favorite in the series though. But yeah, really enjoyed this one. And then number 27, which I also read on my Kindle, is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. This book gave me a lot of different emotions. When I was first reading it, I think I got like almost 200 pages in, and then I DNF'd it. I was like, oh, I couldn't care less about these characters. I just wasn't connecting. And then like over the next week, all I could think about was the characters and what was going to happen to them, and I just found myself really caring for them and really wanting to know what was going to happen to them. It was so random. So I decided to pick it back up, finish it, and I really enjoyed it. I do want to continue on with the series, but every time I see them in the bookshop, I'm just a little bit intimidated by them, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to finish the series. But I think I do. I'm just not in the mood for it yet, but I think that time will come. I don't know, but yeah, good book. Good book. Number 26 is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling. Amazing book, super cozy, super comforting. It's probably my least favorite in the entire series, and I'm gonna finish the series sometime this year. I've already read the series before, by the way, but I just want to reread it. So this was a reread. But yeah, loved it. And then number 25 is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. I adored this book. Adored it. I finished it in like 1 day, 2 days. It's so fast paced, and the writing is massive. I don't know if you can tell. The writing is really big. It's just a very sweet novel. It made me cry. I really loved it. I really recommend this book. Just a good, easy book to read. Not easy because it will tug at your heartstrings in some scenes, but it's very cozy and very comforting, and yeah, loved it. Number 24 is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillick. This is the first book in the Shepherd King series. I really loved it. It's very like dark, and it's a gothic fantasy romance. I really liked the enemies to lovers. Oh, they weren't really enemies to lovers, to be honest, but kind of. I liked the tension that was sort of happening between them. It was a good slow burn. I really liked the magic system, and I liked the actual fantasy aspects of this book. So yeah, very good. Number 23 is White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I really adored this book. It's super tiny. I just loved the writing. I loved a lot of things about this book. It had some quotes that I was just like obsessed with, and I definitely want to read some more Dostoevsky. I hate saying things wrong on camera in case someone's going to comment and be like, you're stupid, that's not how you say it. Not that people do that, but you know, the internet can be a scary place. Anyways, yeah, really loved this book. Shout out to Jack Edwards for recommending this book on his social media, so then I picked it up because of him. Number 22 is The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This is the third book in the Folk of the Air series. I really loved this one. I loved the way that it finished the series, like the way that it wrapped it up, and yeah, good book. Good book. Number 21 is One Day by David Nichols. I will say, the reason this is kind of ranked high, and I think it would have been ranked a little bit lower had I not watched the TV series, because I watched the TV series and then I read this sort of off the back of it, and I was imagining the characters from the TV show as the characters in here, and it made them a lot more likable, because in here, they're very unlikable characters. They both do things that really irritate me. But in the show, they're also kind of annoying in the show, but I find them both very endearing in the TV show. So I think that really helped kind of boost this up when I was like imagining them when I was reading it. I just love the premise of this book. I love that you get to follow these two characters over the course of 20 years. You get to see what their lives look like each year on this one specific date, which I'm pretty sure is July 15th. Is it? Yeah, July 15th. Oh my god, it's almost July 15th. It's like the 8th of July. Anyway, so you get to see what their lives look like on that day, and it's just really nice to follow them and see their sort of story and them growing up and the hardships of adulting and then also finding their way back to each other. I don't know, I really like this book and I really love Dexter and Emma's story, so I do recommend. But you know what? Watch the TV show. The TV show is way better than the book. Way better. Number 20 is As Good as Dead by Holly Black. This is the last book in the Good Girls Guide to Murder trilogy. I do have a vlog, a spoiler reading vlog of me reading the A Good Girls Guide to Murder trilogy, and if you want to watch my reactions, because I lost my mind reading this book, I will link that below. Or maybe I won't. I always forget to link things, so if you want to watch that video, go on my page and it will be there. Number 19 is Guild by Raven Kennedy. This is the first book in the Plated Prisoner series. I really enjoyed this book, and I've got book number 2 on my TBR cart. Why I haven't read it yet, you may ask? No idea. No idea. But yeah, really enjoyed this book. It's definitely a darker fantasy romance. So again, if you are young, don't read this. But yeah, really enjoyed it, and I like the premise of this book, so good times. Number 18 is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I really like this book. I love the characters. I love V.E. Schwab's writing. There's just something about the way that she writes that really scratches a part of my brain for me. I don't know, but I like it, and I do definitely recommend this book. Okay, and then number 17 is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is the first book in the Folk of the Air series, and I really enjoyed this book. It was definitely my favorite book in the series, and yeah, I really liked it. For a lot of people, it's the other way around. Like, the series gets better and better as it goes on, but for me, the first book started off very strong, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, I recommend. Number 16 is Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. This is a historical romance, and I devoured it, ate it up. I really loved it. I listened to the Bridgerton soundtrack a lot of the times when I was reading this book, and the Bridgerton soundtrack is just like a string quartet, like instrumental sort of covers of popular songs, and it just sounds so beautiful. So I was really like setting the tone when I was reading this book. I was listening to like beautiful string quartets, reading like a sort of Regency romance, and the vibes were immaculate. That's my tip for reading like a Regency romance, is go to the Bridgerton soundtrack or just like listen to any gorgeous sort of string quartet, violin, anything like that. Just so beautiful, and it just sets up this sort of tone for reading. Oh my god, I love it. Now we are getting to the top 15, which is very exciting. This is the juicy parts. So number 15 is Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. This is the second book in the Infernal Devices series. I adore this book, adore these characters, adore everything about this series. It is just chef's kiss. Number 14 is A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. This is the third book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I know a lot of people didn't really like this book in particular. They found it to be a bit of a letdown, but for me, I really loved it. Like, I really enjoyed this book. There were some parts that I did think were slightly missing, but overall I had such a good time reading this book. Like, I couldn't put it down. So yeah, I loved it personally. Number 13 is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This is a fantasy romance. It sort of like blew up last year. Reckless just came out. I got my hands on Reckless I think 2 days ago, or was it yesterday? I can't remember. Such a good book, such a good fantasy romance, good enemies to lovers. I personally ate this book up. There are some parts in it that you can just definitely tell the author was thinking, what does book talk like when writing this? So you can kind of tell when reading it, like especially with the banter between the two main characters and like the sort of things that they say. But I loved it. I ate it up, and she knew what we wanted and she gave it to us, so I can't complain. Really good book. Number 12 is Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. I do have the physical copy of it, but I lent it out to one of my friends, so I hope she's reading it. Kate, if you're watching this, you better be reading Before We Were Strangers. It's very good. I loved this book. It was so close to being a 5-star book for me, like this close. I gave it a 4.75. It's just because there was something in the ending I did not like. And I can't say what it is, but I just adored this book. I adored the writing. I tabbed it so many times. I loved it so much. Number 11 is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I gave this book a 5-star. So we are entering 5-star territory. Yeah. All the next books are 5 stars. Okay, so I've got 11 5-star reads from this year. Interesting. Loved it. I love any heist movie or book. Like, I love to know like the scheming behind the heist. Like, I love when the characters let you in on their plan of how they're gonna like pull something off. I just love it. I absolutely devour books like this. So yeah, adored it. I need to read the second book in the series ASAP. Number 10 is actually a reread. I've already read this book. I already love it. I already know it's going to be 5-star. It is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I just adore her writing. And the books get better and better as the series go on, by the way. Like, the first book is a little bit surface, a little bit shallow. Actually, kind of a lot shallow. But I adore... No, it's not shallow. There are some components to it where I'm like, it is a little bit surface level, but I love it. I love the writing, I love the characters, and with this series you will either love it or you will hate it. I don't know, you will fall on one of the sides of the spectrum, and if you don't know, maybe just try reading the first like 50 pages of it, and then you'll kind of get like a, oh, I don't know, because it gets better and better. I don't know, guys. I really don't know. Number 9 is The Crimson Moth by Kristen Cicerelli. This was such a good book. Such a good fantasy romance, YA fantasy romance, enemies to lovers, witch and a witch hunter. Like, it was just splendid. I really loved this book. You are not bored at all reading this book. It's just a very easy to follow, fast-paced, good enemies to lovers. It's just what you want when you're seeking an enemies to lovers. Number 8 is If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. This book took me by surprise. I did not think I was gonna like this book. Well, I thought I was gonna enjoy it, but I didn't think I was gonna love it the way that I did. I adored it, ate it up. It hurt my heart. It really got to me. I really cared for the characters, and yeah, loved it. Number 7 is Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in the Infernal Devices series. This is the book that got me sucked into Cassandra Clare and fell in love with her writing, fell in love with the way she writes characters. Yeah, highly recommend. And mind you, I've never read the Mortal Instruments series. This is actually a prequel to the Mortal Instruments, so this takes place in the 1800s, so it's set before the Mortal Instruments ever happened. So you don't need to read that series to read the series, just like I didn't. Number 6 is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love this woman's writing. I love the way she writes characters. I love the way she makes me just care for her characters. Like, she just writes... Sorry, my partner just got home. It sort of threw me off. What was I talking about? Yeah, I just love her writing. The way that she writes characters and the way she makes you care for these characters is unlike any other. And I know not everyone loves her writing. I don't know, I think most people love her writing. I've seen some people online just find her books boring, like there's not enough plot going on, and that's because her books are very character-driven stories. Like, there's not always a lot going on. In this book there kind of is, but a lot of the times, like, you're just sort of following the character and their inner emotions and their inner world, and I devour it. Love this book. 5-star, easy 5-star. Number 5, so we are getting to top 5. I just read this book, so it's my most recent 5-star. Number 5 is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in the Last Hour series, which is a spin-off from the Infernal Devices series. You cannot read this series without having read this one first. So please don't pick this up in the bookshop and try to read it. I mean, you technically can, but you will miss out on so much information. There's so much in here that refers to the Infernal Devices. I adored this book. Again, just reaffirming how much I love Cassandra Clare's writing, how much I love her characters. She just, I don't know. Her writing speaks to my soul. She just gets me. She gets me. I adore this book. You will hear more about it when I do my July wrap up. Number 4 is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. Can you guys see? I tabbed the hell out of this book. I loved it. I didn't expect to love it the way that I did. I thought it was going to be like just an enjoyable sort of rom-com book. I loved it. It just made me so happy. It made me really sad at some points. I loved a lot of the concepts of this book. I loved that it was set in New York City. I loved that the main guy was a chef and there was amazing descriptions of food. I loved the elements of her and her auntie. I just loved the writing. It was so magical. Yeah, easy 5 out of 5. I adored this book. And then number 3 is Piranesi by Susanna Clark. This is a book that you should go into completely blind. Do not read anything about this book. Just buy it and read it. It is such an incredible book. It's a little bit philosophical, a little bit mystery. This book just blew my mind. Like the whole time you're reading it, you don't really know what's going on, but not in an annoying way that you're like, oh my God, what's going on? This is so infuriating. It's more just like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but this book blew my mind. I really loved it and it made me think and ponder off the back of it. Like I was just in my own world, kind of thinking of what the message was that I took from it. I adored this book. It has such good praise in the beginning. Like I've never seen a book praised so much, and honestly for good reason. Please read this book. And then number 2 is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I don't know if you can see. I tabbed this book. I adored this book so much. It is a fantasy romance, but not very heavy on the fantasy. The writing, like I don't even know, kind of similar to Cassandra Clare's writing. A little bit. There's a lot of elements to it that remind me of Cassandra Clare. I just, honest to God, adored this book. Hence why I'm a little bit sad that Ruthless Vows didn't really live up to my expectations, because I just loved this book so much. It's got everything I love in it. I do like, it's kind of like a historical fantasy romance, so it is like set in like an older time, and I really like books like that. I like when they speak like how people used to sort of speak back in the kind of older days, and I also like that they're British. I love that it was kind of cozy. It's definitely like a cozy fantasy romance. Oh my God, it's just so good. Love it. And then number 1, which I'm not surprised by, is Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This is the 3rd book in the Infernal Devices series, and this book made me sob. And I don't cry in books. Like sometimes I do, but not all the time. I cry quite easily in movies, but in books it takes a lot more for me to like cry. The epilogue in this book, I sobbed like a baby. And any book that can make me feel like that has to be at the top, because I'm like, how did you get into my heart, make me feel for these characters, make me love these characters, make me love this world? I just love it. I really love it. So yeah, this is my top book that I've read so far this year, and I think I'll do this sort of video at the end of the year, ranking all the books I've read, and we will see if this is still number 1. Who knows? That is all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what your top read of the year was, and if it's hard to sort of figure out which was your number 1, maybe give me like your top 5 or something. I love to know people's favorite books. So yeah, anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.